Let's look at the heart in a little bit more detail inside the wall of the heart that is allowing this pumping power, what is formed of. When you look at the heart, these are the chambers. This is the empty space that the blood passing through, but this is the wall of the heart. Here, this is called, what was the name here? Thank you. Left atrium, and this one is left ventricle. So the inside is left atrium, left ventricle, right atrium, right ventricle. So, but the wall of the heart, it has 3 layers. I'm not sure in different exams they will ask you, but it's very good to know. It's important to know to understand how it works. There is one layer which is actually in contact with the blood, which is the one internal layer. If you go inside the cavity, inside the room, you will see one tiny layer covering inside the chamber. This tiny layer of cover is called, excuse me, and excuse me. Don't stop the video. Let's continue. No problem. I'm just coughing. It's a normal reaction of human. Endocardium. Endo means inside. Cardio means heart. So endocardium is inside the heart. I'm not talking about this one. I actually want to talk about the other layer. There is one thick layer in the middle, which is a strong muscle. This muscle is the muscle that provides that contraction, that provide that contraction of the heartbeat, and then the pumping the blood out of the heart. This is called myocardium. The word myo means muscle. Anywhere you hear the word myo means muscle. Myocardium means the muscle section of the heart. There is another layer outside the heart. We call it pericardium, which I don't discuss about that right now. So the myocardium providing that muscle contraction. This muscle is very active because all the time supposed to provide this contraction. So this muscle itself constantly needs fresh blood, needs food, needs oxygen. For whatever reason, a part of this muscle doesn't receive food or oxygen, it will die. If you have a blockage of any blood vessel taking the blood to these muscles, they will die. This is what we call it as heart attack. Heart attack, or the medical word of heart attack, is called MI, or myocardial infarction. The word infarction means death, means death, damage of the muscle. Because if it dies here, we call it heart attack or myocardial infarction. If the small part of the myocardium dies, usually you can continue your life. Even though that part doesn't work, is dead, it doesn't provide pump, but the rest of the heart is still keep the pumping going and then keeps you alive. But if you're not, if you're unfortunate and then you have large piece of, especially left ventricle, because it's responsible for sending the fresh blood to the body, it dies, the person dies right away because there is no replacement. Or sometimes you hear some people say, oh, I had 2 heart attacks. The doctor said the 3rd one, you're dead. It means I was just lucky. I had 2 small pieces. But if the 3rd time happens, it means the 3 combination is going to become a large piece of my myocardium is not working, and there is no pumping, and the person will die. So this is about myocardium. I just wanted to know. One thing I just want to emphasize here, that when you look at muscles in the body in general, it means whatever tissue is able to provide contraction. Muscle. This is one of the muscles we have, but we have so many muscles in the body. We have biceps, triceps. What is the classification of these muscles? The muscles in the body are 3 types. Muscle, M dot means muscle, M dot means muscles. So muscles are when you look at the muscle types, there are 3 types of muscle in the whole body. One is called the skeletal muscle. That's the famous muscle that you know, biceps, triceps. The second one is called the smooth muscle. The third one is called cardiac muscle. This is the muscle that I am cardiac muscle. So this is the one I'm talking about, I'm referring to. That's so interesting. There are so many muscles in the body that cardiac muscle itself is one category. If you divide the muscle, it classifies the muscle. There is a reason for that, and I'll explain for you now. What is the difference of a skeletal muscle and a smooth muscle? Skeletal muscles are the muscles that are connecting to your bones. These are the muscles have one characteristic, and that characteristic is, what is the characteristic of skeletal muscles? You don't know. Is they are voluntary. What does that mean? They are voluntary. It means you can decide and move them. You can anytime you want, you can provide movement and contraction. These are all the muscles that you learn in the musculoskeletal system: biceps, triceps, hamstrings, QF, abdominal muscles, this SCM. All those muscles are voluntary. It means you can move them. When you go inside the body, when you go to organs such as the muscles that inside the stomach, they can provide movement. The muscles inside the intestine, muscles inside the blood vessels make the blood vessels wider or narrower to control the blood pressure. It's like a hose, water hose. When you want to increase the blood pressure, you narrow it down. The blood pressure goes up. The water pressure goes up. No blood. Water pressure goes up. When you make it wider, water pressure goes down. The same thing happens in your blood vessels. All those little plumbing system, when they go narrower or get wider, they change the blood pressure. This narrowing or wide, it needs a muscle to be able to do that. Those muscles, the muscles in the stomach, you cannot move them. Unless you decide you move your stomach a little bit to the left. Do it for me now. Can you do that? Oh, yeah, my camera lady is trying to do that. But that's movement of abdomen. It's not movement of your stomach. Stomach muscles are working involuntarily. Those muscles, we call them smooth muscle. Smooth muscles, the characteristic is what is? They're working involuntarily. But what is cardiac muscle? Cardiac muscle is also involuntary. You cannot stop your heart. You cannot make it faster. Yeah, you can run faster. Your heart automatically becomes faster, but you're not controlling it. So the cardiac muscle is also involuntary. But why we don't call it the smooth muscle? Why we don't call it smooth muscle? Because the cardiac muscle is involuntary, but it has another ability that no other muscle in your body has that ability, which we call it autorhythm. What does that mean, autorhythm? Autorhythm means that auto means itself, rhythm means rhythm. Itself. It means the muscles of your skeletal system, they have to be connected to your brain. If the brain orders them voluntarily, they stop moving. The moment there is no connection to brain, all of them are paralyzed. They don't work. The muscles of your stomach, the same story. They get order from brain. Brain tells them to, even though it's not voluntary, but brain tells them to contract, to move, to digest the food, to increase the blood pressure. This stuff, pupil muscle, they decrease and increase with the light, but you don't control it. Those are smooth muscle. But when it comes to the heart, there is one interesting thing. Heart contraction is not depending to heart, to brain. It's not connected to brain. It means it has the battery inside itself. It means if I take my heart out and put it here, it contraction, that cardiac cycle, atrium, ventricle, it happens even outside the body without any connection to nothing. As long as I can provide food and oxygen to this heart, to this myocardium, this contraction will happen. How long? They say could be up to 150 years to 200 years. That's it. It will continue as long as you provide food and oxygen for this myocardium. So just wanted to tell you, the myocardium is a special type of muscle. It's not a skeletal, it's not a smooth. because it is involuntary, but is able to contract itself without connection to the brain. Later in the nervous system, I will explain so how brain affects on the heart. Brain cannot contract the heart. Contraction of heart comes from inside the heart. It has its own battery. The only thing brain can do, brain can order the heart to become faster or slower. Depends on how much body you need, how faster you. When you start running, your brain tells the heart, make it faster. I need more pump. When you're sleeping, you don't need to go faster. The brain tells the heart, I don't need to go faster. So the heart pump starts getting slower, less powerful, and less number of contractions. This is the way that myocardium works. And I just want you to know the classification of muscles as well and how related to the heart.